So, welcome back to another episode of Speak Out. So, just a little refresher. Speak Out is a podcast series that aims to teach the LS community and Speed's partner communities more about the disability sector. Here in this podcast, our speakers will delve into their stories and experiences involving the sector. The project aims to embody the value of inclusivity and become an avenue for different stakeholders to have genuine discussions about issues in the sector. So last week, we had a wonderful time talking about love and relationships with our featured PWD couple. For today, however, we will dive into some special interests that our guests have in store for us. So having hobbies or interests are essential in maintaining a well-balanced life. In fact, they are more often than not a motivation as these help us enhance our engagement with different activities that we may encounter in our daily lives. So now, are we not curious about the different fields of interest that our PWD guests have? So today we will be joined by Miss Maria Crisada Bisda, or C, and Miss Jozelle Tech to talk about their special interests and why they love doing them. So to introduce them also, Miss Crissy has visual impairment, a condition called retinitis pigmentosa. She is currently an assistant professor in De La Salle University's School of Commercial Law. She's also a consultant for the inclusion of women and girls with disabilities in gender and development training programs in the National Council on Disability Affairs. In 2017, she is a three-time recipient of the Australia Awards Scholarship Program as well as an awardee of the Australia Fellowship Awards for Industrial Relations Management. She also has experience in leading human resource management projects, research work on project inclusion, development programs, and much more. Ms. Jozelle, on the other hand, is born with spinal muscular atrophy type 3. She's been an online freelancer for 11 years now and is the CEO and founder of The Rolling Media, a brand creative consultancy. The Rolling Media helps creative entrepreneurs to establish and monetize their personal brand. They also help in strategic design and creative content planning. Other than that, she's also a YouTube blogger, and you can find her at Jozelle Tech. So, yes, just to start off, would you guys like to say hi to our audience listening at the moment? Like just a short hello or good afternoon then.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Aki. Thank you so much
can
for
start
that
with.
wonderful introduction. I'm really excited to be here with you guys.
Yeah, excited to have you as well, Jozelle.
Hi, Aki. Good afternoon. Thank you for that generous introduction. I'm Crissy, and I'm very happy to be here. And I'm also happy to meet Jozelle online because I've been following her vlogs. So, yeah, it's nice to be like hindi naman siguro face to face no kasi we're virtual, but virtually face to face with her.
Thank you, Crissy. I'm honored to hear that from you.
Right. Buti naman our podcast is a platform for you guys to meet each other then. So,
Yeah.
yun. Very thankful. Thankful to have you guys here then today. So, I think we'll jump into it then. So, so in relation to your very generous and lovely credentials that we were saying a while ago, do you mind sharing with us what made you choose your career now? So I think for me, I'm a graduating senior. I think maybe I'll be considering some of these facts then. So, yun.
I'll start na lang. Well, as you mentioned, I've been an online freelancer for more than a decade now. It actually speaks out my age. um, but I've been in the industry because I feel like it's the most practical career that I can build, especially with my situation. Uh, 10 years ago, it's a bit hard to travel from one place to another. Wala pa tayong Uber, wala pa tayong Grab by that time. And so when I graduated college, I was 18 when I graduated. I took up advanced diploma in IT. And so during my OJT time, medyo nahihirapan ako to really travel and go to the office and do the work. And so I shifted my perspective into building an online career instead. It wasn't as big as it was right now, pero people have been, exploring that field, and so I'm just so happy that I did. 10 years after, I have did a lot of different type of jobs and shifted to different field in inside online freelancing, and then I have decided to build up my own company, which is the Rolling Media. It talks all about my wheelchair being, rolling, keep on rolling, and so I'm glad that I have really put in the work into building my knowledge, my expertise in the field. So, ayun, okay naman, masaya naman. And moving forward, there are different struggles and challenges. But I'm glad that I was able to really run through with this, with my team and with the experiences that I've had with different clients abroad.
It's wonderful to hear. Just thank you so much for sharing that. How about you, Kissy naman? Like,
Well, sa akin naman, I guess it's really more on continuing my field in psychology because my undergrad is psychology, and hindi ko siguro na-push yung clinical side of it because I was nung fresh grad ako, I was busy looking for opportunities. So I landed in an HR profession after graduation. Kaya sabi ko, okay lang. Kasi it's, industrial psychology naman yon. So, still psychology kasi it deals with people and, talking to people. And my work is really people management. Ganyan. So, from there, I I I parang feeling ko I'll not be away from doing stuff for mga social stuff and people related things. So after my stint in the BPO for like 7-8 years ganyan, I moved into freelancing. But my freelancing is well, kasi freelancing is very generic no term. So my freelancing work is more on consultancy after some time. So I I do HR pa din, but right now sa consultancy work ko as a freelance consultant, I do work in different organizations. I work with government agencies in relation to organizational development and inclusive employment. Yan. And I also lead research, social research. So right now I'm doing something for ILO and TESDA. It's a form of research and at the same time para siyang org development work din. And I I also did some projects in Bangsamoro region, that's in Barm, Mindanao. I did 2 projects there that's about policy reforms and governance. So for me, I'm happy with my work as a freelancer din kasi I get to meet different people talaga, like sobrang iba-ibang tao, coming from different walks of life, from different roles and positions, government and hindi taga-government. So I'm happy because I'm also learning from my job. As I enjoy doing it, I'm also learning from the people I meet and work with because right now I'm juggling 4 projects. And sa 4 projects na hawak ko or I am in, I enjoy dealing with the different challenges of the project and dealing with different people. So, yun. And I also do video podcast. Sa channel ko, one-man team ako. Sa ngayon, I basically do everything. And isa din yun sa mga ginagawa ko that makes me busy din. Kasi usually ginagawa ko siya after work. And medyo nakakapagod din kasi nga, like what I said, I'm a one-man team for the podcast channel as of now. So hopefully, I might be able to augment my workforce by, after some time siguro. Yeah. So,
Right. That's wonderful to hear. Like you both really enjoy what you do now, and hopefully that's the same case for me then soon. As I graduate. But yes, it's wonderful to hear you're able to pursue your passions, you're able to pursue purposes that you really align with. And I guess for your channels then like if you're not if you guys want then you can drop it here in this like later when we're closing the ring. So yun. And I think as you've mentioned then like you guys also face struggles. How was that for you naman? Or were there any challenges that you can share with us?
when it comes to challenges kasi, I guess it's no different with other um, fresh grads na during my time, parang it was so hard to look for a job kasi, you're a fresh grad. So sometimes, or not sometimes, but most of the time, they look for experience, they look for a lot of things, diba? And then, ang dami mo rin ka-competition sa job market na fellow fresh grads. And I guess another layer that made it more difficult for me to look for a job around that time is my disability. Not because disability is bad, but what the what was making it more difficult is how to really explain and deal with the perspectives of the employers and deal with the perspectives of my fellow HR. The fellow HR ko rin naman sila eh. So, I mean, in a way, I'd say that disability is another issue of theirs. Not because of not because of disability. I guess it's more on their perspective. That's why I said earlier that I guess disability is not really a bad thing, but it became an issue for employers. That's why it was really hard to look for a job kasi mas concern nila yung disability. Ang dami nilang issues on that rather than looking at what you can do and um, rather than checking your qualifications if you're a good match or not, mga ganun. So when I landed the job, I was so happy kasi finally I found an organization na sabihin na natin na hindi, disability wasn't part of their consideration. Hence, I was assessed based on how they assess other applicants. I guess yung mga yeah, during my younger years, I guess that was my greatest challenge. And of course, after a few years of working, I guess somehow it diminished na. It got lessened. And probably siguro iba naman yung challenges when you're already a person who's been working for a long time.
With me naman on the other hand, during my school years, I really thought that I'd be um, having problems, just like what Crissy is talking about. I was doubtful and takot din ako na baka pag-graduate ko wala akong makuha trabaho or mahirapan ako kumuha ng trabaho. Because even just by picking the course, um, talaga pinag-isipan ko siya on what's fitting for me because I dreamt to be a pilot, and so it's not um a practical course for me. It's not realistic for me. Um After some time nga, now that I heard Crissy na nasa psychology siya, somehow I think na, o nga no, bakit hindi ko ba sinubukan yung psychology or architecture, some things. Because I felt back then na sobrang limited lang yung choices ko. And so I pursue something about computer. Although I do enjoyed my um, college years, especially I focus on multimedia arts. rather than programming and like the real aspects or sector of my course, which is information technology. Um, but then the good thing is, since I have shifted my career into a physical office to online, I actually have, I think I have never had problems getting jobs because of my disability. Because um, most of the time when you work online, you only have to, have the computer, the internet, and then be able to talk and do the work with your hands. And so I don't need my legs or my feet to actually do anything. Um, and so that's why, with that thought, I am really advocating a lot of PWDs, or people who are differently challenged or differently able, just like me, to try out online freelancing, because there are a lot of opportunities that they could discover for themselves, na pwede silang mag-grow as a person and as a professional with this kind of industry. And more people are actually opening their self, especially nitong nagka-COVID, nagka-pandemic. Talaga na force yung mga tao to work from home, and so mas nag-open up yung um country natin, the Philippines, about the possibilities of actually working from home and looking for a lucrative career online. I guess one of the challenge, though, that I have been experiencing uh, from before and even up to now, is most, well, not all, but some of the foreign clients think that if they work with Filipino freelancers or creatives, um, they would be getting it for a very cheap price, because we are in a developing country. We are living in a developing country, and so that kind of discrimination around um, fees, investments, and capabilities are still and always be a challenge for us. It would only change if we get to position ourselves as someone as their partner, not a mere order taker. And so I think that's one of the challenges we've been facing. But as long as we get to really position ourselves, we can definitely have a solution for it.
Aki, if I might add with what Giselle mentioned earlier, I totally agree with the challenges she presented dun sa value, yung market value of Filipinos when it comes to freelancing. Because like what I said earlier, for more than ano na din, 10, 11 years, I'm working as a freelance. So I worked as an HR generalist for an American firm na nag-outsource dito. And that was my greatest challenge, was to negotiate compensation packages for the people I hire, for the experts I hire for them. Kasi nga, yun nga, sabi ni Josel, they thought na when they outsource here in the Philippines, the pay range wouldn't be that expensive. But what I have been trying to explain to the boss is, syempre naman, you're hiring someone with expertise, so you have to compensate them with the current pay scale, no, yung pay range ngayon, yung current market value ng ganung expert. Siguro kung may konting difference yon, konti lang siguro, and most likely it would still be a little cheaper compared to when you hire them back in your own country in the US. Baka may slight difference lang. Pero to devalue the Filipino talents, it's something I don't agree from HR perspective, because if you want to grow your business, you need to have the best experts, and you can only have the best experts if your compensation package is really good. I remember my professor when I was still studying abroad sa isang HR subject ko, sabi niya, you cannot have a quality employee if you pay peanuts. So parang ang lagi niya lang sinasabi sa amin, you get only monkeys when you pay peanuts. So yeah, nag-resonate kasi sa akin yun when Jozelle was discussing about the value of Filipino talents. And yeah, I totally agree with that.
All right. Thank you for sharing those experiences then about freelancing. I think for me, it's very new pa, like, freelancing then. I guess I would need more to look into it. And I guess I think it's great then because you're able to really pursue what you want to do then. And I think in some way, you know what you want to do and you're able to pursue it. And that's because, freelancing then. So, yeah. Um, and yeah, I think with that naman, um, I guess with the challenges then will come like highlights of your experiences then from doing these things. So I'll ask about those naman. Like what are the highlights or any fulfilling experiences that you've had in your line of work? Be proud. Be proud of what you do and feel free to share them now. So yeah.
Okay, sige ako naman mag-start now. Um, I guess one of the biggest achievements in life is that I get to inspire and educate a lot of people by merely just doing what I love doing. um like I'm not forcing anything, like everything is coming naturally from me. Like I'm just doing the hard work, putting in the hard work and just sharing my story and sharing my thoughts on social media. And I'm really surprised to be getting a lot of comments, sometimes messages that I get to inspire them. They get to learn so much from what I get to share. And ako naman parang talagang kinukuwento ko lang siya. Like, sometimes most of the time, I get to post things na as a reminder for myself, or some things that I would want to hear from other people. Ako yung nagsasabi, meaning, um, minsan nagpo-post ako to actually talk to myself and be reminded of those things. And by doing that, I get to also tap into other people and make an impact in my own simple way. Um, Another thing is because I have always aimed to live in a world where no disabled person is discriminated against, dreaming big and achieving financial stability and self worth. And so I'm just so motivated and inspired to be doing that on with my own company, the Rolling Media, because I know of a company that empowers PWDs with a localized version of having um, people be trained and get them into different sort of jobs. And it's actually um, the same with the initiative in my own company. Down the line, I'd like to be able to train people and get to uh, create that hope that they'd be able to have their own um, set of skills, their own career, and their pathway in achieving such financial stability for themselves. Although ang napansin ko, when I have started to do that, especially when I put out a mini workshop in the past, I think 3 years ago, before I actually built my company, the Rolling Media. The biggest disability a person can have is a limited mindset. And so when I started to educate people, it's not really about the skills that is lacking, but really a mindset, a stronger mindset, and a different perspective that they can actually do it for themselves. And so um when it comes to the wins, they are always there. But with every win, there would be a new challenge that you would need to face. And I guess, the wins are, I'm just so grateful that with every the, with every moment to have that, having win and then challenge, we get to surpass every now and then. And so I'm just so excited to the next win that we would be getting, and then the next challenge, because I guess life is always be will always be like that. Every time you get to be um celebrating, there is the next milestone for you. And so it's a good thing, because hindi ka mawawalan ng rason para mabuhay o gawin yung mga bagay na gusto mong gawin, because you will always be motivated to the next milestones, as long as you get to celebrate this wins, little man yan or big wins. So yeah.
Um, Hello, Aki. For me, I guess, since sa mga na-mention nga ni Josel kanina, na dami na niyan na-mention about yung mga successes and how to get there. When it comes to impact, I guess what I can share on the plate is yung fulfillment of um being able to do something and to share something on the society's improvement or to the development of your country. Kasi I'm like what I mentioned earlier, I'm very very happy that yung line of work ko has something to do with social development. Because yun nga, I became part of different social development projects, and you know, hindi man siguro, I don't know how people would qualify that, if it's a big thing or not a big thing, but for me, even if what we do may not be the solution of all the problems in the world and may not be able to solve the problems of the world, I mean, I'm still happy because after, every time we exit a project, ano nandun yung feeling of fulfillment, yung sense of fulfillment, because we were able to contribute something, like what I mentioned earlier in dun sa mga naging projects ko with Bangsamoro or the Barm region in the Philippines, in Mindanao. Mm, it's not just for persons with disabilities sake, but it's for, it has an impact to everybody who lives there. And for me, yun kagad yung nakikita kong nagbibigay sa akin ng sense of fulfillment, because I had a share on that. And in this case, as a person with disability, hindi naman kami welfare objects or charity objects or beneficiary ng kung anong malalaglag na donasyon dyan or dole out, ganon. For me, it's nice that kami, persons with disabilities, we're able to give something and share something to the development of the country and to the society. We're not always welfare objects or charity objects. Kaya ako, I guess mas doon ako happy. Kasi mas doon kami nakaka-create ng impact. Like Jozelle is running a company now, and I guess she is able to provide many job opportunities, diba? Because of the work that she does or because of her business. So ako, with my involvement naman with social dev projects, I get to, yun nga, share a contribution to the development of different sectors, not just for persons with disabilities. So I guess yun siguro yung greatest impact, that it's high time for the society to think that and change their perspectives, that persons with disabilities are not charity objects, and well, in my opinion, we're not even special people, so I don't feel like being labeled as a special person. I am just an ordinary citizen and ordinary person of this country.
Yeah. To add context into that, I definitely agree, especially to the last lines that Crissy mentioned. Na, like we're just like everyone else. We just have our own way of living. Like I normally call ourselves as differently abled, and it's because we are just like anyone else, just really living in a very different way. Just like you guys, you have your own preferences, and we have our own preferences. May it not be our preferences, but we get to, do such things in a way for us to comfortably live. And just like what Chris is mentioning, like I feel like we have our own way of impacting the world, or at least one person at a time. Just like with her, she's doing it for the development of the country, and with me for the development of the livelihood of other PWDs like us. And so, like, I feel like every differently abled person just have their own way of impacting the world in their own simple way.
Mm. Thank you so much. I think there's a lot of takeaways from what you both have said about PWDs then, especially now. Like it shouldn't be something that different now. Oh, they did this, they did that. Like I mean, um, yeah, we shouldn't treat it differently. We can all contribute naman in our own ways, and it's not something that's very different. And I'm glad to see that like what you said, the greatest disability in us is a limited mindset, and I see in both of you, you don't have the limited mindset, and you really pursue and keep going forward with your purpose then for development, work, for um preserving others then, and it's great to see that these are the lines of work you have pursued. And I think that's the general trend now for the new workforce. It's really purposeful work, purposeful jobs, and hopefully it's something that everyone would really like to pursue over profits, over big corporations and stuff like that. And it's really great to see how you're able to live that out, and hopefully something for me then in the future. So yeah, inspiring stories from you both, and definitely quotable quotes then. So yeah, I think going more into a personal level, then we also wanted to ask you like a sort of icebreaker, or like a sort of like getting to know more of you also. Like aside from what you do in your jobs and what you do daily, do you have any interests or hobbies that you pursue also at home, especially in your free time when you're not doing work? What do you love doing the most?
Siguro I'll go first. Nothing special. Like I do Netflix a lot. I binge watch a lot, especially nung pandemic dahil sa dami ng restrictions to move around, I'm not able to travel because I love traveling so much, whether locally or outside. It's just that nung pumasok yung pandemic, doon ako natutong mag-binge watch. So, naging ano na tuloy, yung binge watching ko naging part na ng I don't know, di ko man masabing routine, pero parang ganun na nga eh. Parang ganun na rin siguro. It was pandemic who taught me how to binge watch. But I love what I'm watching. It's just that minsan, naka, naka-carried away ako sa tumatagal. Talagang nagiging binge watch instead of just watching. And, um, uh, the video podcast, yon. I also enjoy that. And I guess I could possibly consider that as a hobby kasi well, it started as a hobby talaga. And then eventually it's becoming I guess the video podcast I do is becoming part of my profession now because I'm currently developing a course for a certain learning platform, and I guess my video podcast would be somehow connected to that in terms of parang marketing avenue for that. Pero sa ngayon nagiging part pa rin siya ng ano ng hobby yung video podcasting. And 'pag siguro mas maluwag na yung restrictions, just moving around, I guess I can go back to what I used to do. I travel with friends and family. Yun.
I can totally relate kay Crissy. Once na nakapag-open ka na, especially if you are watching a series, kapag naumpisa mo na yon ilang episodes, parang ang hirap na niya tigilan. Uh, but I definitely love traveling. When we had less restriction last year, I was able to start traveling again last year. I went to different places like La Union, Boracay, and during the Burr months, I was able to fly to the US to spend the holidays with my family. If I don't travel using a plane, I am normally during weekends on the road. I love being on the road because those are the times that I can really think things through, may it be for business or personal stuff. I just really love to be, inside my car and just really roam around the city or even go to places where I could feel and see more of nature. I just like um the other week we went to Marilake, we went to Rizal and drive through going to Quezon and sobrang nakaka-relax lang siya. I just opened the window car and I was just, feeling the air, the fresh air. So, sobrang nakaka-relax siya. And during those times, I get to also consume content um, deeply. Like when we're traveling, I listen to podcasts or I consume a specific course or even read a book. Um, those are the times na you're just so free to really inhale what you wanted to inhale in life. And it's uh, my way of really distressing, especially during the weekdays. Because during weekdays, I do have two roles, which is the CEO and the consultant, personal brand consultant of the Rolling Media. And I also do business coaching for my tribe. I have newly accepted a role to be a business coach inside a freelancing community here in the Philippines. And so um, those two roles are really brain draining. And so during weekends, I really tend to just chill out and do whatever I want or do two things at once. I always believe in, hitting two birds with one stone. And so being on the road and then consuming what I have to consume or what I love to consume, may it be a movie, a series, or a podcast or anything. Um, I find relaxation and serenity during those times.
Mm. It's a great way to, like we shared a while ago, that's a great way to also spend your weekends then, and hopefully you get done with your travels all the time as well. And the Netflix, yes, I do understand then. I think I've watched a lot and spent time a lot more on videos that are not for school than for school. So yes, I do agree with the whole binge watching then. And yeah, I guess with that then, also to ask, um, like, are there any current hobbies or like hobbies that you would like to have pursued that were affected because of your disabilities or anything like that? Or were there instances na yun nga, like your disabilities hindered you from pursuing any hobbies or things that you wanted to do also?
Ako for one, I love extreme activities kasi. Like, skydiving, zip line, like anything that could really have your adrenaline so high. But then hindi kasi masyadong safe for me. I can't handle myself on my own, especially on like we went to Boracay and then I wasn't able to do the parasailing even though I so love to do it because baka mahulog ako. I cannot control my body on my own. So I guess yes. There are sometimes talaga na restricted talaga because of physical limitations, but I just focus on the things that I can do. Kasi marami pa rin naman akong activities na puwedeng masubukan that I can really do or somewhat someone can assist me and still do it. And so, um, I'm still hopeful that in the future I get to do those things. Maybe the technology would be more advanced by the time or meron ng mga like specific gears or gadgets na we could use. Just like when I saw a video of a guy na nag-i-scuba diving, na nakaupo siya sa wheelchair. So, it's so cool. Like, I wanted to try that out. So, yung mga ganon, I feel like, hindi pa huli yung lahat. It's just that there would be time for it. And hopefully in the future, I get to try some of the things. But for now, I get to try the things that are safe for me and that I can actually do. So, I can still enjoy what I love to do.
Hi, Aki. Ako naman, I guess, to answer your question on hobbies. Hobbies to, pero parang, ano, no, mahahaluan na naman ng advocacy. Kasi, ano, parang, for me, I can relate to Jozelle din. Sana pala sinama ko siya, no, when I was living in Australia, para nagawa niya yung gusto niya gawin. Because, when I was there, I I did scuba diving talaga twice in the Great Barrier Reef, and it was really an experience of a lifetime because Great Barrier Reef is part of the ano seven wonders of the world, and sobrang okay dun. I mean it's also about the people and the culture that you live with. That's why for persons with disabilities, even recreation seems to be, I don't want to say impossible, but sometimes it's also the culture and the country where you live is also a factor, even to the most personal things in your life. Like, yun nga, dito hindi ako makapag-scuba in the Philippines dahil alam, hindi yung restrictions more on, nagbo-book ka pa lang, inaayawan ka na, and in back then when I was still living in Newcastle, Australia, I did a lot of paracycling because I did tandem cycling because before I got blind, I know how to cycle. I'm not a professional cyclist, but I do cycle. So when I was there, I get to do a lot of those things, mga may pagka-extreme sports. Kasi what I can do here in the Philippines is usually just hiking talaga, like going up the mountains. Kasi mas hindi yon mas madali for me to fight for it every time I go. Kasi usually, persons with disabilities here in the country is kind of like questioned, parang, why you gotta do this? Ganyan ka, blah, blah, blah. So, kaya nga, natuwa ako nung sinabi ni Jozelle na she's also fond of physical sports or mga recreational things kasi nga, if she was with me there, probably nahata ko na siya sa lahat. Kasi I know what she's saying about yung naka-wheelchair na nag-scuba dive. It's something very common there. Kasi kahit yung sa beach, yung mga wheelchair users, they can swim with their friends using a beach friendly wheelchair. It's a different wheelchair actually. From the usual wheelchair that we see rolling on the streets. Iba yun eh. But the thing is, there is a what you call systemic support or support. Kaya even recreation is very, very possible outside outside the Philippines. And regarding your question na ito ano yung mga hobbies na nami-miss. I guess that's one of those that I miss a lot. So feeling ko parang pag bumalik ako doon ko lang ulit na naman magagawa because here I tried I tried reaching out and baka sakaling magawa ko siya ulit. But it seems like yun nga, I didn't have a very pleasant experience doing so. Yun.
Okay. So, I guess, since may halong advocacy na rin, tuloy na rin natin. So, I guess, just like a few,
It's like you can't get away with it. Parang it's
yeah,
always part of it.
few po. I guess we can continue it then from there. Since the next question will be mostly touching on it then, and I think this will be the last question, since yes, we'll be wrapping it up then. So I guess the next question that you guys can answer will be like, are there any common misconceptions or anything you'd like to personally like to talk about or clarify? Then, especially like a message to our listeners now, and whatever time they will be listening to this, especially then. So yeah, I think it's just that for me for a final question.
Okay, I'll start. I was waiting for Crissy na to start. Okay. Um, hmm, I think to everyone listening to this, um, just like what Crissy and I was talking about earlier, na, when you see someone having who is differently able, um, just have an open mind to how you treat them. We don't want, at least for me, and I think Lisa would agree, na we aren't really special. We're someone who doesn't want special treatment. Like, uh, if you can look at us like a blank state and get to really know us for who we are, then I think it would be a more wonderful world for us. And the thing is, not all disabilities can be seen with an eye, and so I feel like this doesn't really talk to just to a certain type of people na may kapansanan or may disability, but to everyone. I feel like if we get to be kind to one another and be more understanding, lahat ng tao may pinagdadaanan, kahit na ang unang tingin mo sa kanila masaya sila, they have their own challenges and they have their own way of adapting with the life that they have. And so if we get to be more kind and more understanding to everyone, and I feel like we would definitely have a better world to live in, because I feel like it's very important not to only spread awareness about what differently able people can do, but to just really spread kindness to everyone. Because I know for a fact na yung kahit naman yung mga um, tao katulad namin, like people in our other side, like the PWDs, have their own set of mistakes in life, misconceptions with uh, other people. So, parang what I'm trying to say is my main message is for everyone and not just for people with disabilities or people who don't have disabilities. Like, it is really for everyone. Na if we get to, like, pinakasimpleng principle ko kasi sa akin, that I get to live by is, don't do unto others what you don't want others to do unto you. And so it's very cliche to hear these words these days, but it's really true, right? That's why with me, I feel like, um in terms of my goals this year, or my short term goals, because after pandemic, I tend not to do long-term goals anymore because somehow during the pandemic, na-realize ko na anything can happen in a snap of a finger. And so what I can do and what I can control is to just really do my best in the roles that I have accepted in my life and have committed to, and give as much as I can without hurting myself along the way, but really make an impact to at least one person at a time. And if every one of us get to be open in that kind of mindset, definitely we will all be in a happier place. Thank you. Thank you, Arky.
Thank you, Giselle. Thank you so much, Phil. And Crissy, any ano?
Mhm. Ano ba? For me naman, first of all, siguro magkahalong message na rin 'to and advice. Uh, Persons with disabilities are not saints. You know, we commit mistakes. If I can just simply echo what Jozelle said earlier, we commit mistakes too, just like any ordinary person. We like we like some things that you like, and we don't like things that you like. Simple as that. We're not saints. We are bound to commit mistakes as well, and you know what you do in your life has nothing to do with disability, well, in my opinion, because if you choose to be lazy, even if you're a person with disability or you are not a person with disability, you can always choose to be lazy, and you can always be lazy as you want. But if you want, if you're a person, it doesn't equate kasi with person with disability. It's not the disability that gives direct, na parang that gives you the option to become successful eh. At the end of the day, you have to look at the person's decision and what they want to do with their lives. Even if you're a person with disability, you can always choose to be kind or choose to be bad to people, and you can always choose to be industrious, be studious, be masipag to your work and find work. Pwede namang you don't want, pwede namang you don't find work eh, if you don't want to. So, what I'm trying to point here is what you do with your life is your decision. This is regardless if you have a disability or not. That's why I kept mentioning earlier that disability is not a bad thing. It is just part of us but doesn't define us, because as persons with disabilities, we are a person of many things. And when I say we are a person of many things, we can be entrepreneurs. Gaya nga ni Jozelle, she's an entrepreneur, no? May business siya, marami siyang ginagawa, podcast. Ako, I do podcast din, but on the other hand, I do other work. And yung um the binge watch we do is something that you do as well. So parang what's the difference? Kaya nga, for me, my advice and message to everyone is make sure that you change your perspective. I know that the greatest challenge right now is yung shifting ng culture natin, because here in the Philippines, our culture kasi grew up, or probably majority in our culture has this belief na persons with disability are charity cases. And ang naituturo madalas, hindi ko naman sinasabing lahat, ay kaawaan ng person with disability, because there's this perspective na sinasabi na you must feel lucky and you must feel privileged na you're not born with disability, that you're a perfect person without disability. I mean, for me, sabi nga ng mga term ng mga bata ngayon, mambabasag ako in terms of that kind of belief, because are we teaching the children that disability is a bad thing? That's why you should never have it. And I'm not even saying that you should wish to have it. It's just that when it's there, it's there. Kasi hindi naman yan napipigilan, or nandyan na siya. It happens to a person. So, but, teaching children that disability is a bad thing, and teaching children to feel pity towards persons with disability is, I don't think, a good perspective that they should grow up with. But what they need to understand further, just like your audience or your listeners in this podcast, is, just treat any person with disability just a person, period. Disability doesn't define all of us. We are a person of many things, and we want you to know as well that since we are many things, you can disregard disability and look at the things that defines us more. Entrepreneur ba kami? Teacher ba kami? Professor ba kami? Zumba instructor ba kami? Etc. I guess that's where your focus must be. That's why ngayon nga, 'di ba, kakapasa lang ng Education Act law, which means na we're doing away with special education because we are now heading, the culture is now heading towards more inclusive society and more inclusive community. I guess that's it.
Thank you
I
so much. Go now.
Aki, yeah, I just resonated something with what Crissy was saying, and I feel like to summarize it, um, to the message that she have to everyone is that you can be anything if you really want to be anything, and if you want something, don't just sit there, do something to make it happen, because wanting something and just dreaming about it is not enough. And so, yeah, I just wanted to say thank you, Crissy, for everything that you've shared today. I really get inspired with the things that you have talked about, and I wish we get to really have a moment together to really talk more.
Sure, sure. Thank you so much. Yeah. I hope I wasn't really that dramatic earlier, pero yeah, I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Right. I think its inspiration is going around this room a lot. So thank you so much also for everything that you've shared today. And definitely, I do think the most apparent barriers we have today are really social barriers. And we hope that we get to change that, especially with the new generations to come. And yes, thank you so much for your time. And it's a wrap for today's episode on Special Interests. So thank you. Crissy, thank you, Jozelle. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us today. You're both
Thank
evidently
you.
individuals with burning passions and purpose talaga. And I'm lucky to have hosted with you today. So
Thank
we
you.
hope
Thank
that
you so much, Aki.
Thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed your time also, and our listeners, I hope they take it to heart what you have said also in this podcast. So, yeah. To our listeners, we hope you enjoyed listening in on our discussion about the lives and interests of those involved with the PWD sector. Really hope that our talks provided some insight. And if you're interested in a deep dive on the topic of growing up in puberty, consider tuning in to our third and next episode. So see you then. And thank you everyone for listening in.